Simple random encounter system submitted by Small God 95. In raw OSE, in a dungeon, there is a 1 in 6 chance every other turn that a random encounter will occur, giving a 1 in 12 chance of a random encounter every single turn. I propose an alternative. Roll 2d6. The first is the timer die, and the second is the proximity die. The timer die determines how many turns will pass until the next random encounter. E.g., the DM rolls a 5, so the next random encounter will occur in 5 turns. The proximity die determines whether the encounter will occur in the party's current room or if it will pass them by, perhaps leaving evidence of its passage. The result of the roll determines how many entrances the current room must have for the encounter to occur there. E.g., the GM rolls a 3, so the encounter will only occur if the party is in a room with 3 or more entrances. Assuming the average number of entrances in a dungeon room is 3, the tomb from Winter's Daughter, for example, has an average of 2.6 entrances. This keeps the probability of an encounter at roughly 1 in 12 every single turn, but it allows the party to make a decision to stay in a larger room, potentially with more traffic, or stay hidden in smaller rooms where there is less traffic. My hope is that it will raise the tension and give the players more control. The appearance of a large room full of treasure is both inviting and terrifying. A little pantry with a single door is barren yet inviting. An ally being knocked out in a massive chamber should cause terror, and the scout must be sent to seek a small room to hide in. It should also offer the GM a chance to make the dungeon feel alive. Every encounter missed by virtue of the proximity die is an invitation to narrate the sound of orcish boots marking down a nearby corridor or a mysterious scurrying behind a door. I like this a lot, though I would probably tweak it slightly. Rorinlian22 says, personally I think I would find this to be harder to track, but there are lots of cool ways to do random encounters. Doesn't really matter what mechanic you use as long as it works for you. So there's something I really like about this, which is that, well, I like the 2 dice. I like the idea of you're keeping essentially the encounter 1 in 12, though again, the way I would do it would probably be a little bit differently. You tend to have to roll multiple dice with an encounter anyway. So this to me, I don't look at it as necessarily as more dice, because if I'm going to roll an encounter and I'm going to roll distance, I'm already rolling at least 2 dice. So rolling 2d6 at the same time or rolling 1d6 and having to roll multiple d6 later. I also kind of think it's cool that there's something happening every turn or however often you're rolling these dice, but not necessarily nearby, which I think does give you a lot of things to play with. I like the idea of the large room with the multiple doors. Though you can have a large room with 1 door, and that doesn't seem to really fit. They're saying if there's a large room with multiple doors, then sure, you get this idea of things can be coming at you from anywhere, which is fair. Though the large room with 1 door is just the same as the small room with 1 door. So, I mean, that's more, I guess I'm more nitpicking at their example, but I do like it. What I would probably do is use the second die for areas away from the party, but I would count doors. So I would sort of combine what this person's doing with kind of a distance. So for example, let's say I'm in this room with the 4 columns. I'm going to roll 2d6. I get, let's just call it 5 and 5. So it's coming in 5 turns. And then I would count, and I could do clockwise. Let's just make it easy. You start at one corner, count around. So if it was going to be 5 spaces away, maybe I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It would be in here. Something like that. If there are only 2, and I don't know if you want to randomize it, you could even, this is kind of looks like a die. You could probably figure out some way to randomize it. Maybe that would make another die roll, but, or you can count from here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's because I guess maybe because it's 4 entrances away, maybe I'd pick the first direction from, so 4 entrances, so I could that away and say 5, maybe put it in that hallway. Let's just say that I would go in clockwise order from north if they're multiple directions. So I might say, okay, 4, I roll a 5, so it's going to be 4 counting here, and then I come here 5. So there's something going to be in this hallway. It's not going to get there in 5, be there in 5 turns. And then I can start counting down. And I can also think about, well, where are they starting from? Here's stuff over here, stuff over here. This one's a tunnel. So what's in here? What's in here? Maybe I think about, oh, what are these things that are coming around? Or I would pick randomly, something like that. And then that would kind of keep up. So in this example, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or 4, maybe 4 or 5. It might end up in the same place. Maybe you keep following along. I don't know. I'd have to figure out that path thing. Maybe if it mattered. 4, 5, 4, 5. Maybe I'd keep going from the top. 4, 5 from there. So I like the idea of, yes, this does take into account that the more doors you have, the more things are going to pull. But at the same time, if I was in a single room, let's say here, and I rolled 5, it would put it 1, 2, and see, this is a big hallway with lots of doors, so a lot of things are going to end up in this traffic, because obviously it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you're still in the room, basically. So it would be somewhere in this massively long corridor, but maybe even a better if you wanted to get a good, well, this ones have double doors, maybe, I don't know. So it just seems like, again, it would push, if you're in a single room, it would push the encounters further away from you, which you kind of want. I could kind of see that working out. Let's see. Dungeon Master Masterclass says timer dice seem too gamey to me, unrealistic. With a D6, there's a 100% chance that the thing happens within 6 turns. Why? That's very different than having a 1 in 6 chance per turn. Well, I mean, it's not a 100% chance, right? But yes, you figure on average you're going to get one encounter every 6 turns. But it doesn't work that way, same way as your 1 in 6 chance per turn, because you're still rolling the die. So unless you're playing with a mechanic that after 6 rounds you're absolutely getting something, I don't know what the difference would be. Because if I'm rolling, like my usual thing is once per. So I do I guess it depends on the dungeon, but I guess depending on what's going on, maybe once per 2 or 3 turns, I'm rolling a die, right? Odds are you're going to get one every 6 turns. It's kind of the same. I don't know. I'm not sure the difference, because you're getting 1 in 12 every turn. I guess you're saying that. I'm not sure I'm getting the DMMC. I think you're going from a 1 in 6 or a guaranteed encounter every 6 turns to say a guaranteed encounter every 12 turns, or quote, a average you're going to get it. But I don't know that you're changing that a little bit, but I don't know. I'm not sure I see what you're getting at with that one. It's interesting. I do like sometimes these kind of compound things. I think that's interesting because it gives me, I do like the idea of it's, I guess maybe I would say it's similar to pre-rolling your wandering monster checks. It's kind of the same. If I've pre-rolled 8 wandering monster checks and they're in here and I get the wandering monster check, I'm kind of figuring out the distance at the time. This is kind of just doing that kind of work, but just with some randomization as to where in the distance away from the party where it is. So if they're in this room and they roll, I guess what I'm saying is if I were in this same room, I roll my wandering monster check, my normal one, and it's 1 or 2 on a D6 or 1 on a D6, let's say, and I rolled a 1. Now I'm going to do some rolling. I'm going to roll for distance away. All right. I'm going to roll, and I got 120 feet. I still have to figure the same stuff out that I was kind of goofing around trying to figure out where it's coming from. I have to do the same thing anyway. I'm doing the same work. Oh, say nothing says maybe DMMC misunderstood. I too thought their system was roll a D6. That's how many rounds till next encounter. Yeah, it is. So okay, so let's just make sure we're on the same page, because it is that. But it's what they're doing. So what they're doing is basically their concept is you're rolling the D6, and that's going to say how many turns away a random encounter is from you. And then you're rolling a second D6 to determine how many doors. Now, their idea was that the doors, let's say you roll this, I rolled a 5. There are only 4 doors in this room. So the random encounter doesn't have, but they're saying you could use it anyway and have traces of it, right? You could use it. So yes, it is in a sense when it's coming here, but it's only coming here if that other die operates. What I'm saying is I almost like it more if we say this thing's happening, but it's just far away. Because if in the case of a wandering monster check, I say it's going to come to this room or you say the hallway in 4 rounds, then when the party gets in this area, it gives me a lot of things to think about that I'm might be doing already. I see what you're saying though, in terms of, yes, you're kind of saying this thing is going to happen there in 6 turns as opposed to it might happen or not. So yes, it is kind of 2 approaches to it that way. It's probably my misinterpretation of what DMMC was saying. Yes, you were kind of saying that there is, at least in my tweak, there is some kind of certainty to the fact that there's something's going to happen there in 5 rounds. But to me, it's not too gamey, because it's kind of saying there's something in motion. To me, all that's saying is that I have decided as the GM that whatever something is up here, let's say I roll 5 and a 5, and I say, okay, it's orcs. A 2d4 party of orcs coming around. So now I'm thinking about the party's in here goofing around. I know that orcs are going to come from somewhere in 5 turns, and they're going to make their way in 5 turns. At the end of 5 turns, they're going to be in this hallway. Now, the party may very well never go that way. Just might never go. They might just go round about their business, blah, blah, blah. The orcs might get here, and then the party's over here, and so they never even end up getting into listening distance. Whatever. To me, it's just kind of a different way of doing it, but I like that it adds that feeling. The thing I like about it is that it encourages kind of a dynamic feeling of, okay, so I've decided that the orcs are 5 rounds away from here. So we go on round 1. So that means maybe that there's only one way through here. So we go 4 rounds away, they're here, 3 rounds away, they're here, 2 rounds away from here. This means, okay, the orcs, whatever they're doing, they kind of came onto our radar. They're in this room, or we could put them somewhere else or whatever. They're in this room, let's just say. I think. I can't tell if this room enters this space or this room enters the whatever. They're in this room. That's what's happening, right? So now, if the party's listening on this doorway or whatever, they said, it's been 2 rounds in here mucking around, so I've moved the orcs. I'm going, doot, doot. Maybe I've decided which way they go, or no, we already know they're going to end up here, so we go, doot, doot, doot. Now they listen at the door. Maybe they hear something. Maybe the orcs are listening over here. Just a different way. It has some interesting stuff. I'd want to work on it a bit. Again, this is just off the top of my head. I kind of dig some of what it's doing, and other ways I'm doing. Yeah, I agree with everyone else that doing it the kind of original way is fine. But yeah, so it's kind of cool. I'm kind of muddling about. I'm just thinking about things out loud. Happy Myconid likes the Necropraxis event die. I do too. That one's nice. Oh, how does it make things simpler? Oh, I see. Yeah, it does. Yes, I will probably agree with that too. It doesn't necessarily make things simpler, but it's just rolling a different amount of dice.